Hi, I'm Darren Cook of Big Stick Combat. I'd like to talk about grappling. Grappling has become very common, very popular lately. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Ronda Rousey is a judo practitioner. You see a lot of wrestling and the MMA and cage matches. But I think we need to think real seriously what makes an effective wrestling or grappling technique on the street. I say there are 5 criteria that we need to meet. Number 1, the technique needs to hit in the first instant, needs to hit in the first blow. Let's start with this as an example. So suppose I try to get a wrist lock and he's going to fight me. We're in a struggle here. How can I sense the wrist lock on him? Well, I'm going to throw this thumb to the eye. Now, once I create that opening, once that thumb enters the eye, there's a gap now that I can exploit for that wrist lock. So the same thing with our wrestling techniques here. I come in here to wrestle, we're wrestling, we're fighting, but he hasn't been hurt. The longer this goes on, the greater opportunity he has to pull a weapon or for his buddies to get involved in it. Ideally in a fight, I throw that first blow and he goes down. The sooner I can end that, the more decisively I can end that. The problem with grappling without end is that I'm not hurting him. I'm not ending that fight decisively. The longer it goes on, the greater the dangers. Secondly, and this is very important, is this grappling technique going to work if he has a knife? So if he has a knife, all of a sudden the potential moves here, the moves that I can do that are going fireman's carry, and that are going to work, and heaven forbid what happens if I just, not knowing he has that knife, but if I decide I'm going to shoot here for the double leg, I'm in big, big trouble. So that single, if you just think, what if he has a knife? All of a sudden, the universe of possible realistic grappling techniques shrinks very drastically. Number 3, does it work against multiple opponents? So here's a problem. We square up, I get him in this headlock, but the problem is, what about people behind me? What about people to either side? So particularly when we clinch up face to face here, a problem occurs. What about people behind me? And even if I get him in this picture perfect throw, take him down to the ground, I'm on top of him, what happens when I'm in this position? I now become vulnerable to his buddies. It becomes very easy for anybody, any bystander, to throw a straight kick. Number 4, is this technique going to work if I have a weapon in my hand? Suppose I'm defending myself with this bottle. I'm going to go for this technique. I'm going to grab. I'm going to do a hip throw. But now, if I have a bottle in my hand, I have to drop this to try to get my technique. So I want a technique that I'm going to be able to work even if I have something in my hand. If I have a weapon, I'm going to use that. I don't want to have to drop that. Number 5, does it end decisively? This is another problem. I get this picture perfect hip throw. He goes down. He may not be hurt. In fact, he's probably not. So now we're struggling in the ground. When does it end? As soon as that kind of goes back to number 1. I want to be able to hit and strike decisively, bring things to a conclusive end. And even if I cinch that double leg takedown and take him down, I still now going to have to follow up with the moves. Since I haven't struck him, he's still in his clear mind, he's still fighting me. So we want to think hit in the first move, end it decisively, and certainly you want to be able to survive the opponent who has a knife, which you may not even be aware of. Think about it.